just own where we're at right now. Understand that we've created this, ditch, and we got to quit digging. Stay together and just continue to just keep battling.
I'm a young guy still, but at the end of the day, it's my job to lead the offense, and I fully embrace it. It's just unacceptable that how we played last game. The standard has to be raised. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard, and it really starts in practice.
Just sticking together, just getting back to having fun. And week one we were having fun, so I think it just gets back to that, just having fun together, and just really sticking together. Because I think we're 1-4 is not where we want to be, but I think it really just shows the character of our team to see how we can bounce back this week and get back on the win column.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on, he's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi everybody, I'm Missy Matthews and welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. Well, there's no way to sugarcoat what happened in Orchard Park last Sunday. The Steelers lost to the Bills 38-3, their most lopsided loss in over 30 years. As Coach Tomlin told his team and the media earlier this week, there's no quick fixes when you're on a 4-game losing streak. For more on that, let's welcome in Bob Pompeani, who's with Coach Tomlin now. Guys.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. And we welcome in head coach Mike Tomlin after a very difficult loss, no doubt. Coach, after the game, you had intimated maybe there would be some changes coming. You left pretty much everything on the table. Will there be changes this week against Tampa?
What I meant after the game, when you got handled the way we got handled, I don't think you take anything off the table in the effort to change the outcome of games or to prevent that from happening again. We're not going to change for the sake of changing, but I just wanted to make the point absolutely clear that performance was unacceptable. We hate it, and we're open to doing whatever it is that we collectively need to do to improve our chances of performing better and obviously winning.
Obviously, big plays were a big part of that game, and you knew that going in with Josh Allen potentially. Just the first play of the game, the 3rd and 10. What was the thinking there? Was it trying to be aggressive and blitz? Or
no, we weren't in the blitz posture. We were in a 4-man rush, and we actually had them doubled. We had 21 inside, we had 29 outside, and he kind of split us and got behind us. We know he's capable of plays like that, and you tip your cap to him, but it's still disappointing nonetheless. First possession down, snap of the game, you allocate 2 guys to minimize a guy's impact on the play, and he goes 98 yards on us. But I just think that's kind of representative of the day for us. Anything that could have happened bad probably did. Probably a better discussion or a shorter, more concise discussion is the things that kind of went well. And sometimes I just take the reverse approach. And in a game like that, what do we do well? Special teams, we gave ourselves, put them in a backed up field position a couple of times. Punt down inside the 5, a kickoff tackle inside the 5. But representative of the day, we didn't leave them backed up in those 2 scenarios. And those are often scenarios where you go out and get defensive stops, you put the offense on the short field and subsequently get points. That didn't happen. I thought defensively, it was a positive moment early in the game when we stood up after we didn't field a kickoff return in the inclement weather, for example. But again, we stopped them. We partially blocked the field goal. Positive, but again, not enough momentum to carry on. I think we had a 3 and out in the subsequent down. And offensively, I thought we did a really good job of pass protecting in one-dimensional circumstance. In that environment, down by the number of points that we were down by, oftentimes your quarterback can be taken down a lot in those scenarios. And I thought we did a really good job from a protection standpoint. But we can just talk about the things that happened well in the game in that shorter period of time. It just gives you a snapshot of what the day was about for us. It was definitively more bad than good, and we have to acknowledge that, and we have to build a plan and highlight ourselves in such a way that we're not having this conversation a week from now.
You also had Kenny Pickett in his debut. Your assessment of him after you had time to look at it?
I thought he made good and timely decisions. I thought he was highly competitive. I thought he worked to move the group. I didn't think we won enough in situational ball. Obviously, at the quarterback position, he's a component of that. But we just got to win more situational plays, particularly possession downs within the red area. Oftentimes, he was making good and timely decisions and putting the ball in the right hands. We just weren't finishing the play. That 4th and 6, we had Deontay just inside the 10-yard line, is an example of that, where he seemingly had to catch and then the ball was broken up and came out of his hands at the end of the play. I think that's kind of reflective of the way some of that possession down stuff was, particularly in the red area. We had a 3rd and 10. We had Chase inside versus a slot defender. Ball placement nice, low and away. Chase wasn't able to make the catch. And so we got to keep working. It can't continually be this. I understand it becomes a broken record. We have the urgency that kind of represents that. But I'm excited individually about where Kenny is and what he represented last Sunday in Buffalo.
Are you confident that Matt Canada and this offense can turn it around all aspects of it, from the run game that would help the pass game?
I am. Obviously, we got to play a team game. We're young and transitional in a lot of ways on offense, and that sequence that I mentioned where we had them backed up defensively is a means of aiding that progress. Are we going to have the type of offense that's going to consistently go down over the long field and score touchdowns? Man, that's doubtful as we sit here today, but we can produce enough points to win, certainly. We got to play good team ball to supplement it, and as they grow, those things will become more of a reality.
Looking back, do you think maybe you should have gone deeper, given the fact that Buffalo was out 3 of their top defensive people in the secondary? Was that something that maybe looking back you should have taken more shots down the field?
No, they still had Von Miller and company.
So the pressure, obviously, is a problem.
It's a multi variable discussion when you talk about going down the field, and really the first variable is protection. Mm-hmm. And guys like Von Miller do a great job of keeping a lid on things on the back end. The back end that was missing some people, as you mentioned.
All right, we have a lot to talk about here, Missy. Coming up, it's Tampa Bay, Tom Brady. 45 years of age and still being very productive. We'll talk about that challenge, which comes up on Sunday at Acrisure Stadium when we come back with Coach Tomlin. Back to you, Missy.
Thanks, Bob. Well, tomorrow will mark the first time Tom Brady comes to Pittsburgh not wearing a New England Patriots jersey. He knows a thing or two about facing the Steelers, however. He's been the most effective quarterback against Pittsburgh with a 12-3 record, including the playoffs. So what can we expect from Tampa Bay tomorrow? Coach Tomlin breaks it all down for us right after the break.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady have squared off 12 times, but tomorrow it will be Brady versus Kenny Pickett. In his career, Brady is 23-5, including wins in the last 12 games against rookie quarterbacks. Let's send it back over to Bob and Coach for more on if Tom Brady has changed at all since the last time the Steelers saw him. Guys.
All right, Missy, thanks very much. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers come to town. A lot of familiar faces, a guy that you've seen over and over and over. I'm just asking you from this point of view, Coach. When he was 35, Tom Brady, a lot of people thought maybe he was getting to the point, age, nobody beats Father Time. But would you have expected this career to go to the point where it is now 10 years after that at age 45 and still being as productive as he is?
He is the exception to the rule, obviously, in a lot of circumstances, and he needs no endorsement from me in that regard. It's been awesome just to kind of appreciate it from a football lover's perspective, what he's been able to do and the level he's been able to do it at for such a long period of time. But I also think just the initiative regarding player safety over the course of the latter part of his career has aided in that availability as well. There's been some that have come before him where the game was officiated differently regarding player safety that probably had unique traits, intellect, arm talent, and a desire to perform that the way that the game was officiated probably had an impact on how their careers came to an end or didn't.
Yeah, he's still been very productive, though. And I'm curious, you mentioned that. We've seen a lot of different calls from some of these officials with regard to roughing the passer. You're on the competition committee. I mean, it affected you in the game last week in Buffalo when Kenny Pickett took a hit from Damar Hamlin. No call. We saw Brady get a call. We also saw Chris Jones of Kansas City make a good play, and he was called for roughing the passer. Does that need to be looked at again?
I think we're always going to be in debatable territory when talking about protection of the quarterback in particular. But we got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. The position is so important. Safeguarding that position from a officiating standpoint is very important. And so, there's going to be some plays that are going to be debatable, but I don't think clarity, black and white clarity, is always the best solution in that regard. I think the continued pursuit of safety at the position is the appropriate mindset, and that's going to require some discussions week in and week out. When you're competing at the highest level, there's going to be some debatable plays depending on what end of it you're on, and I think those of us that are part of the process understand that, but that's a fight worth fighting.
You have some familiar faces on this coaching staff here. You have Byron Leftwich. You know him well. He was, when Bruce Arians went down there, he's the guy he chose to be his offensive coordinator. Are you surprised at the success he's had in that role? And also Larry Foote, who now is a big-time contributor on their coaching staff.
Not surprised by the coaching success of any of those guys, or Deshae Townsend, who also played here, is another example. Oftentimes, Nick Eason is the defensive line coach at Clemson. Oftentimes when you're coaching a guy, you realize that he may have the mindset or aptitude for this end of the business, and all of those guys kind of represent that. Byron was an unbelievable asset to us when he was a member of our team as a quarterback, whether he was playing or not. He was always in tune to what was going on. He always had really good perspective. He had ideas. He understood global football. All of those things usually kind of tee up the discussion that we're having about him. And I could say the same about Larry Foote in terms of his opinions and vision as a linebacker when he played for us. You got some big-time players on defense over there. Antoine Winfield Jr., I'm sure you have connections with his dad. Are you surprised at his tremendous season that he's had so far? And that defense specifically, that's a tough defense to try to figure out. Not surprised at all. I coached his old man. Football is a family game. It is. There's so much of his game that is reminiscent of his dad. His dad was an unbelievable tackler. His dad came off blocks, shedded blocks extremely well, and got to the ball, had linebacker-like instincts, and was really versatile. His dad played corner and nickel, was a very good outside corner and capable cover guy, but had the physicality and awareness to play nickel. His home position is safety, but he covers well enough to play nickel and brings those same attributes that made his dad a very attractive nickel a generation ago: blitzing capabilities, block shedding, tackling. He's just a well-rounded football player. He's a football player first, and the position that he plays is kind of secondary, but that also provides big-time versatility within their defensive system. You'll see him down as a safety. You'll see him down in the box and around the line of scrimmage blitzing as a nickel. You'll see him back in deep middle as well, and just can't say enough about what he's doing this year for him. Yeah, he's one of many guys making plays on that defense. It's a very good defense coming to Acrisure Stadium on Sunday, and that's what the Steelers challenge will be as Tampa comes to town. When we come back, we'll get the keys to the game per Mike Tomlin. Right now, back to you, Missy.
Thanks, Bob. The Steelers need a win tomorrow for several reasons, including not going 0-3 at home to start a season for the first time since 1986. Still to come here on the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show, Merril Hoge has a new playbook for us to break down the good things the Steelers are doing and how it can carry into Week 6. Now it's time for the Yins Chat trivia question. Who has the longest reception versus the Buccaneers in Steelers history? Vance McDonald or Mike Wallace? You'll find out after the break.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Your Yins Chat trivia answer is Vance McDonald. Yins Chat is the Steelers' official predictive and trivia game. Answer questions, make picks, and win prizes like this week's prize, a Kenny Pickett autographed football. Play Yins Chat exclusively on the Steelers' official mobile app. Well, the Steelers' record and stats will tell you things are not on the up and up. But to dig yourself out of a hole, you have to start somewhere. And in this week's playbook, Merril Hoge shows some positive things the Steelers are doing that they can build on.
Hi, everyone. Welcome into the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex for the Acrisure Playbook. Now listen, it's not all doom and gloom. There's actually a lot of good things that are happening with this Steeler team, especially the offense. I know that might be the most doom and gloom, but there's a lot of positives. And it's not just Kenny Pickett. Jaylen Warren, I know a lot of people started to hear about him, the kind of player he is. I want to show you a couple of plays that make him truly a special player, an every down player, if you will. his ability to block and adjust. I think that's one of the most important things a runner has to do. Now, first of all, let's look at how they're going to protect this as an offensive line. You know, they're sliding this way initially. For the reason for that is because you got 4 defenders over here. Now, the tackle ends up sliding as well. I'm not so sure he's supposed to come back this way, which actually speaks really to Jalen's adjustment and how you got to be as a football player. There's going to be mistakes made up here at times. This guy right here has to make adjustments, and he does this right here. It's a great example of it. This is what I like about him as a football player, not just how he runs the football, how he can adjust and make up. Now, let's talk about the fundamentals here. Okay, so this is same foot, same shoulder, rising blow, first contact wins. This guy right here outweighs this guy by 100 pounds, at least. But when you play football right and you know how to play it, this is how you win football. That's a defensive end. This is a running back. Not the matchup that you like on your offense, but he helps from this quarterback taking a hit. Pickett doesn't take a big hit because he makes a great block and he adjusts beautifully. And I can't be more text perfect in how he goes about blocking. That ends up being one of the best plays he makes in the game. His quarterback doesn't take a hit. I know he ends up getting hit, but not a big hit like he would have gotten had Jalen not made that adjustment. All right, Kenny Pickett. How did he play? Let me tell you this, the one thing that I wanted to look for, he did it in college. You know, how well does he process things? Does he have composure in the pocket? Is he accurate? Well, all those things were on display. He did all of those things. I want to show you one play in particular that really illustrates just how hard it is to really process things, and especially in man coverage. You know, when you got man coverage across the board, you know, you're going to have people in tight coverage, you know, and that's not just your wide receivers you're going to be looking for, you know. You got other bodies, you know, these defenders are going to be a part of this process. So I want to snap the ball, and I want you to see what I'm talking about processing. You know, this happens very quickly. Now, I understand that Pickett does a great job right here. You know, he pushes him down, but he's not to the top of his route till about here. So that's why, you know, Pickett doesn't throw it to him right away. But let's go through now all of the things that he's seeing and trying to process. You got all of these guys running man routes. Okay, then you got the bodies of the defenders. I mean, it's a lot to process as a quarterback and to see. Take it one step further. Right there, I mean, does anybody look particularly open? I know that Pickens is. Now, he's going to get to the top of his route, but I think this pass rush pressure here, the wall there, takes his vision away here, so he doesn't see him. That's why he moves on, which I like that. He doesn't get stuck. When you get stuck, that's when you get in trouble. Now, even this right here is a lot to process. There's a lot of bodies there, but he stays composed in the pocket, which I love. He doesn't get flustered, even though it's becoming dirty, but that's part of the NFL. It's how the NFL plays, and you got to be used to that. Very few guys early in their career play well in that. They want to run. Well, not him. He gets rid of it, finds a Gentry, the tight end, and that's a first down. So when you look at Pickett and how he played, really from an overall aspect of a rookie, looking how he played from the pocket, his processing, how he handled all the pressure, and to throw it 55 times, absolutely incredible. All these are positive things for the offense. They keep building on this, get the offensive line rolling. A few more phases to this offense, they're going to be a much better football team.
Thanks as always, Merril, and you can catch more of his playbooks on the Steelers official YouTube page. Well, the last time the Steelers and Buccaneers met, Ryan Fitzpatrick was Tampa Bay's quarterback, and Vance McDonald became known as the Vanimal thanks to a pretty sick stiff arm. Well, the rosters are going to look completely different tomorrow, so let's check in one final time with Bob and Coach to get your keys to the game presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Guys.
All right, Missy, thank you very much. Tampa comes to town, a very good football team coming off a win over Atlanta. Coach Tomlin, let's talk about, first of all, attacking their defense. We talked about Winfield, but they have other guys, some linebackers who are making plays. What do you have to do to be successful down the field against that team?
You got to mix it up. You can't have a static launch point. You got to mix the run and the pass. You can't be one-dimensional in any way. As you mentioned, they got quality players at all levels. We didn't talk about Shaq as an edge rusher. We didn't talk about Vita Vea as an interior guy. We didn't talk about Devin White or Levante David. I mean, they've got quality players and they're playmakers. We can't be static. We can't be predictable. We got to do the things that we believe in, and equally as important, we got to do them well. We got to lean on our strengths schematically. We got to lean on our strengths from a personnel standpoint. The focus is us this week. We respect what they're capable of and the people that we mentioned, but when you're coming off the type of performance that we're coming off of, you look nowhere other than within and talk about what you do well and who does what well, and let that be the catalyst for planning, and that's the way we've approached it this week.
Offensively, your team has struggled in the first quarter game specifically, not getting a touchdown in 14 quarters. Do you do anything dramatic in that regard with regard to prepping for the first quarter of a game in terms of, scheming your plays, whatever the case may be?
Obviously, we're open to the schematics of it, but I thought schematically we had a good opening drive a week ago. We just stalled at the end and had to, settle for a field goal attempt, and so we'll continue to work in that vein, understanding that we need to be better, and those will be our intentions as we prepare and ultimately play.
Yeah, one of the things about Tampa, too, is their ability to be very good in situational football, led by Tom Brady. Vice versa, you guys haven't done that as well. What do you have to do in that regard, and do you change anything within the red zone?
That's one of the reasons why you're 1-4, to be quite honest with you. Those plays that are weighted differently, we hadn't won enough of them. It's not because of lack of attention and prep or time allocation. We just got to put together better plans, and we got to play better, and we understand that. What we're not going to do is try to invent something that hadn't been done before. You have a tendency to turn bad to worse there. We got to stay grounded, tune out the noise, and focus on us and the things that we do well.
Coach, best of luck this week. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Tampa coming to town against the Steelers at Acrisure Stadium. Should be a big Sunday. Steelers, much need of a win. We'll find out what happens. We'll have post-game reaction on KDKA. That's going to do it for our show. For Missy Matthews and head coach Mike Tomlin, I'm Bob Pompeani. Thanks for watching the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. We'll see you again next Saturday right here on KDKA.